Welcome back, awesome action toy fans and subscribers. Today we're looking at Boss Fight Studio Vitruvian Hacks Series 2 Knight of Accord. This is the female version. I have reviewed the male version previously and also the Castle Guard. I will stick both of those in a suggested videos, which will be in your top right of your screen through the course of this review. She looks fantastic, loads of accessories I can see. On the back, I've already reviewed these two, Queen Solan and the Fairy Warrior. I've published those. And today we're doing Knight of Accord. And tomorrow probably I will do Steheno. So Knight of Accord, looking at the back here and comparing the front. The only thing I would say looks different, that blue on the shield, which you can see there, which is very similar to the blue on her tunic, is more purplish on the back. Now that might be a lighting with their picture here, because with their Fairy Warriors, I said in that review, her skin tone is different in the figure to actually what it is on the picture, and so is the green on the clothes. Okay, so I'm gonna pop this open. It's the slide out open from here, because it's a very collector friendly case. And let's see what she's got inside. Okay, so in the bottom layer, we have base, we have the staff, we have the scabbard, the shield, two connectors that can go in there, or connector that goes in there with the spear and the halberd head. We have a spare left hand and almost a Spider-Man pointing open pose. And in the top, we have the alternative head, the helmet for her head there, the right hand in the opposite pose, and the sword. Looks really good. Right, I'm gonna pop her out and put into a pose, and then we'll have a closer look. Let's get into this. Okay, here she is. I've put into a pose with the spear, and I've got her shield, and I've realized the sword can attach inside the back of the shield. Not sure if it's meant to go there, but it certainly fits in there, those little black clips there. She does look really, really nice, I have to say. I've taken everything out except for, wrong button, except for these alternate hands. So I've taken out the halberd head, the alternate head, the armored head, and also the scabbard. Interestingly enough, there is no place for the scabbard unless you remove the armor on her legs, since the scabbard would fit on the same place where the armor is attached to. Having said that, you could heat up the armor on the back, and you could pop the little peg into one of those holes if you want to have a sort of her scabbard on the back, but that's not very knightish, traditional knightish, a bit more adventurer perhaps, or more lightly armored dungeoner crawler. She is a fantastic looking figure. So let's take the things off her and have a look at her in a slightly more detail. So I'll take the helmet off too. Shall I zoom in? Let's try a little zoom in. Okay, it's a bit better. Let's get a focus going on. Really good head sculpt. Look at those eyes. Really piercing, fantastic. And what's really nice is this chainmail is beautiful, but you can see the gap under her chin. So it's a very natural sort of hanging down chainmail. Very, very good. Great armor. A little bit difficult to tell she's a female by the armor. It's slightly more rounded by the sort of breast area, but obviously it has not breast curves like you see in sort of fantasy, as opposed to a bit more realistic miniatures like this one. Great on the shoulders. The colouring is really nice with that silver and gold. Great gauntlets. Nothing on the thighs. You only have this armour here on the sides. Very, very good. Moving around to the back. There are two holes in here which you could put a sword on. The hole underneath is actually used by the armour here. That's where that plugs in from. So it's just a plug in, take out, and suddenly, ba-doing, that armour is gone. Now it's worth noting that the armour on her upper arms and the chest here is fixed, and so is the forearm. You could take off the waist armour here, and the skirt section here would come off as well. And the lower legs would come off, but the feet are armoured. So you can't make a complete blank out of her. She still has to have some armor on. She is such a great looking figure. Even without that shoulder armor, she looks fantastic. Now, obviously, if she has that off, you could fit the sword in there. But I think the sword looks really good behind the shield here. And it's nice because she can have the halberd or the spear, and she can hold this as well. Now, with the spear and halberd, there's an attachment on the end here. And if you don't realise that, you might try taking this out boop, to try and put the other one in, but actually it's that little attachment on the end here, which has to come off. There we go. And then it goes on the end, and when it's on the end, you can swap round for your halberd head or whatever spearhead else you want to stick on there. Now, there is a slight issue with this in my mind, and that is the grip handle here for me is in the wrong place. Now, Boss Fight Studios, one of the complaints I always say is fantastic figures, but the bicep sort of goes there or there. In between, it won't do it. It sort of snaps into place. Now, look at where the handle is. The handle's there. The halberd won't touch the floor. You'd really want to have the handle in a different position, you know, because that doesn't touch the floor like that, unfortunately. Which is a real shame. Because if she stands up now, she's got a halberd that's off the ground, and that's going to be quite heavy. That's not particularly realistic, which is as I said, is a bit of a shame. So I'd prefer to have that handle higher up. It's got this wood, and it's got these sort of notches, or not these studs on the wood. I'm not so keen on that, because if you hold it two hands, those studs, which are gonna sort of, you know, maybe hurt the enemy, also gonna hurt your hands too. So if she's holding it two-handed, so normally have a right hand over and the left hand under. It's okay for the right hand, it can just about get the handle, but that should really be holding it maybe slightly lower down. But the left hand, if you hold the handle too, look at that, that's going to look silly if she's holding it so close. She'd really want to hold it over there, but now she's holding the studs. But she's got armoured gloves on, or armoured gauntlets, so I guess that's okay. And she does look so good. Really, really fantastic looking figure. I keep saying that, but I wholeheartedly mean it. So if I stick her shoulder armour back on, just come over and pop in. And she's looking fantastic. Such a great looking figure. They've done such a fantastic job on her. That all this wave is really, really good. Okay, let me swap the head around. Let's go for the armoured head. Now, they supply the barbells inserted in the heads already, so there's a lot less for you to do in terms of swapping barbells around, which is a good job by Boss Fight, and I'm very thankful for that. Oh yeah, she looks great. Quite imposing. Now, one thing I will say about Boss Fight Studios is they are really delivering value for money. The price point that these come in is so much cheaper than some other brands that do 1/18 scale. And look at the amount of accessories she's got. She's got the staff, she's got the halberd head, she's got the connector, she's got the spearhead, she's got the helmet, she's got the head she comes with, the helmeted head, she's got her sword and shield, she's got the base, she's got alternative hands too. This is fantastic value for money, I will say. Really, really like this a lot. I think they're doing an absolutely cracking job on this line. Very, very good stuff. So let's check out her articulation. So I will take the weapon. I will leave that head in for now. That might impede her articulation a little bit. So can we see? Okay, so head is a forwards, backwards, side to side, and turn up and down. No problem with the head whatsoever. Arms would go all the way around, but then the shoulder arm gets in the way. But that does move a lot, which is good. To the side, lateral raise. Now, bear in mind, she's got armor. There we go. You can squeeze it underneath the chest armor sculpt, and she'll get just over flat, just over 180 degrees, like 182 degrees, something like that. Bicep, my only real issue, well, one of my two things I don't particularly like with them, the bicep, it just snaps into a position which is about 90 degrees, which again is more than acceptable, so that's cool. Waist, she can turn. There is no real dip, there's no side to side, but the turn's fine. So that's trunk turn, there's no waist turn. Hips, even with this armor, she gets to an almost full splits, which is fantastic. Very, very good job indeed. Looks great. What they have added is thigh twist, which is fantastic. Thigh swivel does make a difference to a lot of the poses, so great job by Boss Fight there. Forwards is pretty good. Backwards is minimal, if anything. Double kneecap, skinny legs, really, really tight. My other issue with Boss Fight is there's no boot turn. You can get a small turn, but then what happens is the feet will twist inwards like this or outwards like that, which is a different sort of articulation. I prefer a straight turn on the boot as well. Tippy toe, considering the armor she's wearing, is pretty damn good. Her dorsiflexation is not going to be great unless you remove the shin armor, because that gets in the way, and you know, she can just about overbalance and fall over. It's not the best dorsiflexation. In fact, if I lean her backwards, she's almost standing up there. She can stand up at full dorsiflexation. So it's not the best because of the arm getting in the way. And then the hands, which I didn't say, they have a complete turn around, as you would expect. And both the standard hands that she comes with are gun articulation like this. And both the spare hands, the alternative hands, are wave articulation like this. Her articulation is great considering the bulk. Just the feet on the dorsiflexation lets her down a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put her into an action pose and set her up with a couple of other action figures, so we get a sense of size and what she looks like for dios and with other figures. So I'll be back in an instant for you guys. I'm not sure how she's going to fare in this fight against the demon. I think she'll probably lose, but she does look so good posed with monsters. Now, if you're wondering what this is a H.A.C.K.S gargoyle stroke demon, which I repainted, and I added articulation to the jaw and to the biceps. Eventually I will add some to the legs, but only maybe the ankle joint so it can stand slightly better. Now what I've done with her, I've just rested her shield over, her sword guard just over the armor there, so her shield can sort of attach to her back. And it looks like it has in a way, because you've got these little holes here, little rings there, but there's nothing there's nothing I can see that can hook them on at the moment, so I'll just use the sword there for now. And that's why that ankle articulation to this one, because he falls over. I'll put a link in the video description so you can see the custom video about this and whatnot, or playlist for this. So she does look great scaled with the H.A.C.K.S. If I use a big 118 scale, which you could customize for fantasy, I use Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy, and I've got 5 or 6 of these now. I might get some more because they're relatively cheap here. And again, that'll make a great custom if you do it into fantasy to go against her Tree Man for the elves or something. Maybe one of Queen Solan's allies or something. He looked pretty damn cool. Now, one thing I haven't shown on her, and that's the shield and sword. So a closer look at the shield. It does look pretty nice, I have to say. Great colouring. Even there's a touch of weathering on the outside there. The back has even got some colouring too, but you could add a bit of dry brushing to the wood here and here, and that looked fantastic. Sword looks great, very simple. Again, a bit of dry brushing on the handle will bring it up a little bit, and maybe a touch of paint possibly on the blade. And then the scabbard, it fits in very snugly. In fact, if that is in all the way and that's on her leg, you may struggle to pull it out with that on her thigh, because it's actually very, very quite stiff. She is a fantastic figure. So I've reviewed the Fairy Warrior, Queen Solan, and now her, the Knight of Accord. And it's really hard to choose which is my favorite between the three of them at the moment. I'm going to have to... See, I want to say the Knight of Accord because the accessories are fantastic. However, I also want to say Queen Solan because the different loadouts you can get, I think, are possibly slightly better. But again, with the Fairy Warrior, the different loadouts are going to be good too. Now, what I will say is my least favourite of the bunch, I'm sure, is going to be the Fallen Necromancer, Stefano, or Steheno. Not because she's a bad figure, because I know she comes with at least accessories I can see in her packaging. But this female Knight of Accord looks fantastic, really catches a great fantasy feel, scales well with your other figures, even with your Fortnite, though she's slightly taller than my Fortnite custom here, who's obviously fantasy. She just looks the part. And eventually I'm going to turn my little Star Wars guy here, which I will do a review for soon, into a dwarf, probably for fantasy, because he's like the right sort of height. Okay, this is Awesome Action Toys. I am signing out saying please like, share, subscribe, click on the notification icon, and check out my videos because there are over 1,000 on the channel now. Stay happy, keep collecting. Bye-bye.